Am I the a-hole for refusing to babysit my sister's kids any further after her son lied to her about me? My sister is a single mother with 2 children, an 11 and 7-year-old. The 7-year-old is a boy while the other one is a girl. She works a lot and doesn't have a lot of money to afford babysitting, so I started watching her kids for her for free. There was an incident one day where the 7-year-old had gotten mad at me because I wouldn't let him jump on the couch. I explained to him he would get hurt, and he threw a tantrum. Which was normal, it's what young kids do. Well, around the time my sister gets home, he starts suddenly bawling his eyes out and running towards her. I'm confused, as he was just fine a second ago, but followed behind him to greet her. He immediately starts on a rant about how I had a man in the house, and how neither him or her sister had eaten at all that day. My sister was rightfully pissed and started asking questions. I shook my head, said it was lying, and that she had cameras so we should probably sit down and watch them. She said no, and that I needed to go before she called the police. So I left. A few hours later, she calls me and apologizes, saying she watched the footage and saw no man enter the house at all, and that she had seen that her son had refused to eat the dinner I made them. She asked when I could come by next, as she hoped I understood a misunderstanding, but I said I would no longer be babysitting for her. He said that he's just 7, and that kids lie all the time, but I still refused. We went back and forth over the phone insulting each other, and that was that. Our mother thinks I'm being ridiculous for being mad at the kid, but it's more than that. I could have gotten in trouble if the police had shown up and he was saying what he said. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You told her to check the cameras. She refused and threatened you with the police. She doesn't get to backtrack now and pretend everything is fine. Definitely this. Opie isn't just refusing to babysit because of the lie, even though it would be justified if he was, but because his sister went from 0 to 100 and wouldn't listen to your side. Not the a-hole. Not to mention she could lose her own kids because sister refused to entertain the possibility that the son was lying. Not the a-hole. Most 7-year-olds wouldn't lie to that severity. His mother is allowing him to manipulate her and even threaten you with the police. She has already shown she will take his word over yours, so there is no reason you should watch him again. Most 7-year-olds wouldn't lie to that severity. Former teacher, and I absolutely agree with this statement. Sister should try to get him a bit of therapy or help through the school, or else through a private source. This mindset of his is going to get worse as he gets older, and even more devious. Keep an eye on him when he visits Opie. He may retaliate. So I started reading this and immediately assumed you were being too sensitive for the 7-year-old child lying. And then I got this. She said no and that I needed to go before she called the police. At that point, it was clear not the a-hole. But your title's misleading. You're not refusing to babysit because her son lied. You're refusing to babysit because she didn't give you the benefit of the doubt when there was a clear-cut way of providing your innocence. But more importantly, why would she want somebody to babysit for her that she thinks would not feed her children all day? It's not her son's behavior that's the issue here. It's hers. I mean, there's something else going on for a 7-year-old to make up that big of a story. But also he seems to know that he can make up a story and his mother is going to default to believing him. That's a little scary. Forgive the 7-year-old, but don't forgive the adult. Your sister. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling the price of my ring and then causing a domino effect of possible divorce? Last month, I, 33 female, got engaged to my boyfriend of 5 years, Mike, 35 male. Mike comes from a family of keeping up with the Joneses. They have very elaborate weddings, holidays, and events. The more expensive it is, the better it is mentality. However, I came from a family that started out poor, but gained affluence through my parents' hard work. Holidays and events are about the people, and we all live modest lifestyles, although we can afford more. My parents always said, wealth isn't just what you can buy, but the memories you can make. Well, Mike proposed to me with a ring pop that I thought was hilarious and adorable. The next day, we went for a ring, and he was expecting to spend a lot. But I found a beautiful morganite ring for less than $1,000, which I'm so privileged to have. The issue. While at his parents for a get-together, his cousin Nat asked about my ring. Since my ring was way less than Nat's, I said less than $1,000. She asked again, and I responded the same. She then said, he must not think you are worth more because I would never allow that. I will admit I was offended, but excused myself to find Mike. Well, he was talking to Larry, Nat's husband, and Larry said, I heard of all the rings you could have gotten, you chose a modest price, and you're not interested in a big wedding. That's smart, since me and Nat are still paying off the loan and credit cards for the wedding. On top of that, she wants a baby and wants to be a stay-at-home mom. We can't afford that, and I'm barely home as I'm working so much. Larry got quiet, so Mike offered him a guy's night and tried to cheer him up. The rest of the night was kind of awkward for us, and we felt bad. But the next night, Mike gets a call from his mom and aunt, yelling that Larry wants a separation as he is tired of Nat's spending, and claimed she was inconsiderate of him, and it's my fault because I had to flaunt my cheap, flimsy ring. Mike got mad, and then we heard a knock. It was Larry, and he asked to stay. Mike hung up on them and said yes. Well, there is more to the story. Larry found out Nat removed her IUD without telling him, and tampered with his rubbers. He said that it doesn't feel like he is part of a team. It is what makes Nat happy and ignored his needs. He cried and Mike comforted him, so I went upstairs to give them alone time. Nat called to blame me, and said it is my fault because I knew the type of family they are and should have fallen in line. I told her that she needed to grow up, take responsibility for her actions, and stop being a brat and recognize that her husband's mental health is crumbling. I told her to stop being so selfish. She called me a righteous witch and hung up. Now I'm being dragged in social media. Mike feels I'm right to defend myself and be proud of my ring, but my family said I shouldn't have answered and stayed humble to not repeat the prize. So am I the a-hole for telling the price of my ring and then causing a domino effect of possible divorce? Not the a-hole. Rolling on the floor laughing at flaunt your cheap, flimsy ring. You didn't flaunt anything. The nosy lady demanded to know how much it cost. Super tacky. Then made assumptions on your relationship based on how much your ring cost. Yes, in most cases it is not polite to discuss the cost of things. But obviously this lady just had to know. And obviously prides herself on how much money she can spend / is spent on her. Given the circumstances, you helped Larry dodge a bullet by committing a small faux pas. This woman is obviously a self-obsessed, manipulative, materialistic narcissist to try to scheme to get pregnant to trap a man. But obviously it was your cheap ring that ended the relationship, not her behavior. But by revealing the price of the ring, Opie forced Nat to travel back in time and tamper with his condoms and remove her IUD. Not today, home. And I'm pretty sure you didn't start a possible divorce. I feel like this did. Larry found out Nat removed her IUD without telling him and tampered with his rubbers. That's divorce level crap right there. Had nothing to do with you. Seriously. They're struggling to pay off credit cards and she's trying to get pregnant while her partner is clearly trying not to. Your ring didn't do anything. Their partnership was already one-sided and broken. He just hadn't seen it yet. Not today, home. Opie, please tell Larry that what Nat did to him is actually a form of domestic mistreatment called reproductive coercion through birth control sabotage, and it is illegal in many places. He should aim to get any kind of documentation of her admitting that she did it, such as having a text conversation with her where he gets her to admit it, and then press charges. Thank you. I didn't know that. I will definitely let Mike know about it and have him look into it. I think it's better that way since Mike and Larry are close. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not having my wedding to be all vegan? I, 26 female, and my fiancé, 28 male, are getting married in January 2022. We have everything planned like music, food, dessert, drinks, and who will be attending. Our food choice will be between chicken or steak, with a salad to start, and we thought it would be a fun idea for those that do not want a cake to have a make-your-own Sunday station. My fiancé has a sister, 24 female, that is a vegan. When we first met and got to know one another, I was open to trying vegan restaurants. Well, when I would suggest a restaurant that had vegan options, she would decline. She's the only vegan guest that will be attending the wedding. We let her choose a dish that she wanted to have for the wedding, and ice cream that is vegan-friendly. Well, future mother-in-law and father-in-law called my fiancé and suggested maybe changing the menu to all vegan. He went nuts and told them no. He was not going to change the menu because of his sister. His sister started texting and blaming me for being controlling and manipulative. And his parents are now thinking about not helping with the wedding and leaving it to us and my family. Fiancé thinks they are being unfair and is not speaking to them. Am I the a-hole for not having my wedding to be all vegan? Not today, home. Why the hell should your entire menu be vegan when only one vegan is attending? That's an outrageous request. Sister-in-law can have an all-vegan menu at her own damn wedding. She assumed that the entire menu would be vegan, but my fiancé thinks it's crazy. Your fiancé is right. Stand your ground on this one or you'll be setting up future shenanigans. Not today, home. Your sister-in-law is a prime example of why people can't stand vegans. Tell her and future mother-in-law they're welcome to skip the wedding if they really want to lose family over one meal that you gave her vegan options for. I mean, I don't think this lady represents all vegans. Most of us are significantly less self-centered than this crazy lady. No, she doesn't represent all vegans, but you don't normally hear about the sane vegans, only the crazy ones. So she's one of the reasons people can't stand vegans, because she's one of the examples of the crazy vegan. As a 15-plus-year vegetarian, not a home, and holy cow is that some entitled, self-centered nonsense to think the whole wedding should be vegan for one person. That's ridiculous. As a 50-plus-year vegetarian, I agree, this is nuts. And why vegans get a bad reputation. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not attending my sister's baby shower because my fiancé is not invited? My sister and family are planning her baby shower next week, and once my fiancé asked how she could help the preparation, my sister told her that sadly she was not going to be invited. My fiancé was crushed with that reply, and requested an explanation as I did, since it was very sudden. My sister and mom's explanation was that my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, doesn't feel comfortable with my fiancé there because she feels insecure around her. My sister-in-law has body image issues and feels uncomfortable around women who are skinnier than her. I said I understand sister-in-law is struggling, but it's unreasonable to exclude my fiancé from family gatherings for that reason. My sister and mom apologized for how things turned out, until I said that if my fiancé is excluded, I won't attend either. They got surprised I said that. It demanded that I attend as I'm the brother of the future mom. My fiancé called my sister-in-law trying to have a civilized talk about it, and tried to be sympathetic to sister-in-law's struggles, trying to explain to her that she shouldn't compare herself to others and stuff like that. My sister-in-law then replied that my fiancé has it easy, so she shouldn't complain for the one time she's excluded from something, because sister-in-law has been excluded from society her whole life because she's overweight. For the record, my sister-in-law is almost as skinny as my fiancé. She's not overweight. They just have different body types and shapes, but she's nowhere near overweight. But even if she was, that would not justify my fiancé being excluded for appearance. Long story short, my whole family have turned against me now, and say I'm the a-hole for not attending one event without my fiancé. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. I know what it's like having body image issues, but that never is an excuse not to invite the kid's future aunt to the baby shower. You not going is your choice, which isn't an a-hole thing. Your family seems to be the a-hole here. To add, if her issues are so severe that she both has problems being around people who trigger her, and even sets out to attack them like she did Opie's fiancé, she needs some pretty focused therapy. Especially if she's going to be a mom. Like, let's have emotionally stable parents who aren't severely triggered by the mere presence of a skinny woman, please. I mean, the doctor is going to talk to her about her weight, and the baby's weight once it is born basically all the time, because it's important for her health. If she's that focused on the issue, she is going to have a bad time. Not today, home. She's literally being excluded, by your sister's own words, for her body. That's so messed up regardless of someone's size or shape. Good on you for sticking up for your fiancé. They're basically body shaming your fiancé. The logic is so backwards, it's not even funny. What does your brother, sister-in-law's husband, say in all this? I would not be okay if my wife wanted to exclude someone, unless there was a justified reason. Good job standing up for your fiancé. Not today, home. Your sister-in-law needs help. She can't spend her life excluding people who are slimmer than her. Your family are happy to exclude your fiancé over this? They should be welcoming her to your family. Why does sister-in-law comes first here? It's not even the sister who didn't want to invite her for personal reason. It's the sister-in-law. Opie's sister is letting the sister-in-law walk over her. And I suspect it's because the sister-in-law is a jerk the sister doesn't want to deal with. So they ask for the fiancé not to come because they knew the fiancé wouldn't make a fuss out of it, whereas the sister-in-law might. If they do it now, what's next? The fiancé not being invited to Christmas or Thanksgiving because the sister-in-law is an insecure a-hole? Opie is not an a-hole, and good for him for sticking up for his fiancé. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not babysitting for my ex-sister-in-law anymore? Short and snappy. I discovered around 2 years ago that my ex-husband had a secret family. He had had 3 kids with his mistress. He had also stolen money from me which I had inherited from my late first husband. The last few years have been utterly devastating as I tried to rebuild and protect my children. Prior to this whole mess, my younger kids with second husband used to hang out a lot with his sister's children. She worked a lot while stayed at home more, so I provided a lot for her childcare. My second husband encouraged me to give up a successful realtor business, and so did she. She knew the whole time about a side piece. She backed off when the whole mess blew up. Now the divorce is finalized and some, not all, of the money he stole has been returned, she wants back in. She says her kids miss their cousins. She says I shouldn't be petty and should be a better co-parent. She says that she stayed out of my business and I shouldn't hold grudges. She says that I need to learn to let things go. She says so many things. She is educated and I'm not. She doesn't let up, and she rolls her eyes when I say no. Is it petty that I just don't want anything to do with her? Not today, home. She knew the whole time about a side piece. She can ask the side piece to babysit. She probably asks the side piece too. Double dipping, you know. I mean, her brother was doing it. Why can't she? The only reason ex-sister-in-law didn't mention the husband cheating was because she was getting free childcare. The only reason she wants back in is because you were benefiting her. She was complicit in her brother's betrayal, but she was getting free childcare from the person she betrayed. She's using shame, guilt, and manipulation. And worst of all, she's playing on the emotional health of a bunch of innocent children. She sounds like a vile user and a manipulative narcissist. There is no good that comes from continuing to entertain her requests. No is a complete sentence. She says a lot, doesn't she? It's a pity that she kept her mouth shut when you were being double-crossed in such a horrible way. Cut her off completely. Block her cell phone. Why on earth would you want to keep contact with her? Oh, and obviously not stay home.